RFK's. I think he's legit for damn. I'd have to look hard and be like, I could pick him. I could vote for him. 100%. He has great ideas. He has hard stances on trying to keep, the border and immigration.
What is his stance, though? I don't know.
He doesn't want an open border.
He does not.
But he does want to help fix immigration. He says that immigration is like broken because it takes forever for someone to go through that process.
Yeah, and so what? Average 7 years.
He wants to streamline it.
I understand that he wants to streamline it because people don't understand like how come people just don't go through the system and get their legal citizenship because it takes like on average 7 years. So if you're broke,
but that's on average. If you're broke, it's 20 years.
And opportunities are right over that fence. You're not going to wait 7 years. You're going to go for it.
Yeah.
Of course, people who have some money are able to go through the process. They can wait it out. Like I get it. Sometimes the process can go faster if you have more money.
If you have money, it goes faster.
It goes way faster. But if you're just an average worker,
but you have money, so you can wait it out.
Well, being an average worker in like Mexico or further south, I mean, their money is not that much, and to save up and get through the process, it's still going to take 7 years for them, right? If you're like crazy rich, you can get your citizenship.
But I'm going to go back to what you just said. You're not going to wait if you have that opportunity,
right?
But if you have that opportunity, you're here. You're coming to work,
right?
You're coming to be a tax-paying citizen. Why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want a hard worker?
So, what do you do with illegals now? If that's the only law that they broke was entering illegally, do they pay a fine until they get through the process of a green card? Like, should there be like an in-between tier of immigrant coming into this country and green card, but there's a tier in the middle where, okay, you came in illegally, so you're going to continuously pay a fine, but we're not going to throw you in a cage because we see that you're willing to be part of the communities and pay taxes.
Well, what are you talking about continuing paying a fine? Like, are you going to charge them?
Well, they broke the law, right?
Is it a real law? Is it a real law?
Well, crossing the border. I mean, can you do that in any other country?
Is it a real law?
And do that in Europe.
Yeah, but
do that in Canada and be like, okay, I want to start working. I don't have any documentation.
When did they say that was a law? Because I'm pretty sure back in the day, they said, and it's on the Statue of Liberty, they said if you're willing to come and be a citizen, we have our arms wide open for you.
Oh, sure. If you're looking for freedom.
If you're looking for freedom.
Mm-hmm.
What changed? People don't want to lose their jobs. What jobs?
Mm-hmm.
Dishwasher, working at McDonald's. Like, let's be honest. Like, if you're scared that someone jumps the border and is going to take your job, then you suck at your job, or you're working at a beginning level job and got comfortable and didn't push yourself. If someone that doesn't speak English comes here and takes your job, you should look in the mirror and say, I'm worthless. If someone
So do you believe the border should be open?
I don't think it should be 100% open the way it is.
So we should know who comes in this country?
We should know who comes in.
Okay, sure. I believe that.
I think you should know. I honestly think if you have criminal ties, no, we don't want you in here.
Well, how are they going to find out?
Records.
Or they just pull them from Mexico?
Pull them from Mexico.
Bring your...
No, we should have... You should have some kind of ID. Let me see your Mexican ID. Cool. Enter the numbers at the border and know who this person is. Well, it says here you've just got out of jail.
Well, that's assuming these countries have that kind of relationship where they're willing to provide personal information like that.
Correct.
People coming in and out.
Well, it should be before they get into the U.S., there should be the Mexican side of the border should be doing that. Like, the Mexican side of the border should have their police not letting those people in.
Okay, now you're telling another country what to do.
Yeah. Do you want good relations or not?
Well, I mean, the U.S. can only control what it can control. It can't just tell another country what to do. We can suggest it. We can make a request.
Yeah, you can. You can suggest, hey, we need to do this.
But it doesn't mean they have to go by it.
They don't have to.
They don't have to oblige whatsoever. They just have their own rules. Like, why do we want to put these resources in? We're not as rich as you.
Well, we'll supply the resources.
Okay, then who wants to vote for that to supply them the resources when we could use those resources within our own country?
Do you want better safety, or do you want, because the borders aren't going to close. So you have to put something in place. That's the more realistic way to do it. You train the police, the policia, and say, hey, we're going to integrate this. We don't want any criminals to come over. How hard is it for them to do that? You're acting like, oh, why would they care? They're going to want all their criminals to come over.
Well, they don't know who they are, so
Yeah,
it's
they do.
hard, it's hard
ID.
to tell who's a criminal and who's not a criminal.
Every time, ID.
A Mexican ID.
Yeah, Mexican ID.
Who's to say the Mexican networks of governance tracks everyone's information like that?
They do.
Or Nicaragua, or very much
Well,
poorer
that's
countries.
different. Other
right?
poor countries probably don't, but that's something you can have with Mexico.
But I mean, the border is not just to prevent Mexicans coming
Yeah.
over; it's preventing many other countries coming over.
that's the major issue.
There's
Is
people
other
who are
countries.
so poor they don't have any documentations that proves their existence. So when they try to cross the border, you don't. Yeah, it's a clean slate, but you don't know what their background is.
That's what would worry me.
So that I mean, I understand your point. Maybe Mexico does have the resources. We're just using Mexico as one country, but it's not just Mexico
Yeah.
dealing with the southern border. It's all Central and South America as well. And
Well-
some of these countries, like I said, they're so poor. These people don't have documentation.
Yeah,
to
they don't
prove their
have. Yeah,
existence.
you're right. They probably don't. But I'd be hesitant to let them in.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's how most of the country feel. Like I'm hesitant to let them in. Like, how do we know whether they're just going to come here and start robbing people
Killing people.
or killing people? But how do we know that they'll be a great member to our society?
We don't.
Just don't know. But
Yeah.
how do they prove it?
Yeah.
How do they prove
I
it?
wouldn't let them in.
Like I get it. Like
I wouldn't
at the
let 'em
same
in.
time, but it's like if to that person who just traveled from like Nicaragua, like super poor country, and came and they're in Mexico and they're at the border, like I'm just going to jump over this.
What
I don't have the money to
how about
start.
sponsorship?
Like, how do you get the sponsorship?
Family member or a company?
Well, sure, there's that too. There's sponsorships, but what if they don't have that that
And they don't
opportunity?
come in.
They're going to make the effort to come in.
Yeah.
They're
Then they're
gonna
going to
make the
get
effort
caught
to
and
come
get
in.
thrown out.
Like, yeah, I mean, do we need this cycle where people come in and we kick them out, they come back in, they kick them out, or throw them in a cage? When they get out, they get deported and come back in.
Yeah.
That's why I was suggesting. Like, okay, we understand that you were just too poor to get in the process of going through immigration, so we know who you are and you can be trusted in our communities. But at the same time, we need to have an ID on you, so we know who you are. So if you get in trouble, we know who you are. But if you have like this clean slate for years and you're illegal, we can get you in a process where you can become a benefiting member to our societies. But at the same time, they did break the law, though. So that's why I was saying maybe a fee base that they have to pay an extra fee because,
How? They're poor.
well, they come to this country and they get a job. I mean, they're not
yeah.
as poor as they were in their country where
do you
they just
track
came
'em?
from. Well, that's what I was saying. Is with the ID. Now, how do you get that process
But
going?
you give them an ID, but they go to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they get a job under the table. How are they going to pay that fee?
Albuquerque, New Mexico. Like, well, maybe if they just go in to,
You have them in the system, but if they get a job that doesn't,
well, like the system that brought them in with an ID, right? That's like,
Right.
this is who you are. And we want to see that, you know, you have W-2s to show that you're paying taxes. If they're getting money on their table, then it's not reflecting back on them that they're,
and they're not doing taxes, and now
They're
they're
not doing
here,
taxes,
same
right?
thing. Now they're here under the radar.
they're under the radar, but they're ID'd. So it's like, hey, what have you been doing to be making money? Like, they could have the ability to look at bank
Yeah,
statements.
but
and
how do you
stuff.
get the fee that you wanted from them?
This is just for people I'm saying who to get the fee from, who have a W-2 job. Maybe they work at the jobs that most Americans don't want to work.
Yeah,
And it shows that, with all that being a good Samaritan, that they've been paying their taxes, the W-2s reflect it. Then you could put, they're trusted to move
but
forward.
that's a small number because we just argued.
A
There-
small number? I think there's a lot of people who are willing to go through that if they could become an American.
No, because there's
There's
still a
peop-
lot. There's still a lot. Yeah, if they're willing to be American, there's a lot of Hispanics that don't want to be American here in Arizona.
But they just want to work?
They just want to work.
Now, how do you feel about that?
Well, that's a different story. I want to go back to yours. So you ID this guy. You tell him you're gonna have to pay a fee, and he's thinking in his mind, I don't want to pay a fee. I can work at construction under the table and get dollars, make money, have a nice life, and I never have to worry about paying that fee because they'll never know I'm here. So that one you can't charge that fee. So there has to be another way to do that.
Is that someone already ID'd or not?
That guy's ID'd.
So he's ID, but his W-2s don't reflect that he's paying
Why would he have
taxes.
W-2s if he's getting paid under the table? If he's 1099,
So but he's living in the country for so many years, but he shows that he pays no taxes.
there's
but he's
people like
ID'd.
that don't pay taxes. They're 1099.
Mm-hmm.
and then you never see your taxes. So do you go for the companies and say, because they don't have to do this, and say you have to tell us everyone that's working for your company?
Mm-hmm.
That's invasion of their privacy. A lot of companies don't want to do that, right? So
Right.
we'll think of a way to do that, but I get where you're going at.
Well, yeah, that's my point. It's like
There's no real answer, but
there really isn't. I'm just trying to come up with one idea that's trying to stick. Of like, we have people who have good intentions that want to come to this country and be great members of the society. It's just we make it very hard to streamline people to be part of our communities who the country will benefit from. Yeah, 7 years on average, like that's a long freaking time.
but
When
then
you're
again, you
super
have
poor-
people here right now that they're paying taxes, right?
illegally.
Illegally under a fake social or whatever.
Hmm.
Do you think if they've been here X amount of years, no criminal record, but they've been paying taxes, that we should be able to say, look at them and say, you've been no trouble, 10 years here, we're going to put you in the process?
Yeah.
Or do you kick them out?
I would want them to stay because if that was their only crime was coming here illegally,
You can get past that.
I mean, crossing the border. I mean, just like jaywalking, should you be thrown in jail?
no, I don't
No,
think you.
I don't think that you should really be thrown in jail for crossing the border illegally. Like, I understand well, everyone has a different reason why. Some people are here for opportunity. Some people are here to do cartel runs, right? I get it.
Or just
Trafficking,
make their
whatever.
money. They saw Scarface and they're like, oh, yeah, I can do that. You know, let's be honest, it's a better life here in the United States that we take for
is.
granted.
And I mean,
And
it's a different
100%.
topic, but like, what if people stop sacrificing everything to get into this country? It's a good reflection of this country that people are willing to sacrifice everything behind to come
get
into this
here.
country for better opportunities.
Yeah.
That's why America's so great. But just to get someone who's just super poor trying to get into this country, how do you get them opportunities to work here?
I don't know.
We make it very difficult. 7 years on average.
No,
A lot.
and
That's
on
just average.
That's on
just
average.
It could be longer,
It is.
especially
longer.
if you have no money.
Yeah. They
Barely
don't-
have 2 pesos
Exactly.
to rub in your pocket.
Yeah, we don't want those people. Is what you're saying, right? Not you, but our country.
Our country. Well, here's the thing.
It's broken.
Well, there's always that fluctuation of like, okay, and this happened in Bush Jr. when he embraced immigrants because so many people don't want to work these low-paying jobs. So who can only work them now? You increase the amount of immigrants that
They're
start
gonna work
working
with-
those
yeah,
jobs,
they
right?
Build the houses and stuff. Landscaping and stuff. It's all Hispanics mostly.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Our fast food restaurants. Come on,
dude,
most of them
McDonald's right here is like Little Mexico. It's all Mexicans working it.
exactly. Those are the people who are going to take those jobs because we're at a point where many Americans, first, second, third generations, are too
Yeah.
entitled, too good to be working those jobs because we want to elevate ourselves higher.
But also back to Mexicans working at McDonald's, they climb that ladder, the corporate ladder. You know, I know, like, because my kids like to go to McDonald's. I talk to them, you know, and just BS with them. They know who we are. They know my kids, and they're super nice. But I was like, hey, where's Olivia? Oh yeah, she's now a district manager. So they're working hard at those jobs to climb the ladder, and for them, they're happy.
Mm-hmm.
They're making more money. They're living way better than they would in Mexico or wherever they're from, right?
Mm.
And let's be honest, I don't look down on them because I know for a fact if I wasn't born here, I would do the same thing. I'd be jumping that border, getting away from that life.
Well, you only have so many roads to prosper when you're an immigrant versus someone who has citizenship. You can go, you do more, right? You can apply for more jobs out there that can bring you up the corporate
Yeah.
ladder. But if you're like an immigrant, barely knows English, you don't have too many opportunities to climb the corporate ladder. So you're going to just start at McDonald's,
Very
become
bottom
a
jobs.
supervisor, become a manager, work
Yeah.
your way up, right?
That's why I hate when people say they're coming to take our jobs. Then you suck.
You suck at your job.
You suck. You should not be working that job.
You
If
suck at
someone's coming.
capitalism.
If someone's coming in, that means you never pushed yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you're saying I'm an assistant manager at Burger King, and these guys are taking my job, you should have been somewhere else. You should have been somewhere else, not
Mm-hmm.
50 years old assistant manager at Burger King. You didn't apply yourself.
Well, yeah, I mean,
So if Hector, that barely speaks English, gets promoted above you, you got to start looking in the mirror.
mm-hmm.
It's like,
Like, why is he working harder than you?
yeah, this
Are
guy
you-
barely speaks English and he's outworking you.
Are you too good
Yep.
to be working
gets to that.
at Burger King?
Because you get soft.
Mm-hmm.
They got soft.
Are you too good? Are you too entitled?
Correct.
You don't appreciate hard work? I mean, that is our
Yep.
generations coming up, though. But yeah, like I was saying, there's just a lot of jobs that people don't want to pay. So how do you fill in those jobs? You do it with immigrants. It's always been like that.
Let's be honest. Hotels, resorts that you go to, it's a lot of Hispanics that work those jobs.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of minorities.
Mm-hmm.
And they're happy. They don't care. They're
Well,
happy.
Oh, are they happy because it's a
'Cause
job
they're
that
working.
pays
They're working.
better than what they would have gotten
Yes.
in their other country? Right.
Yes. Yes.
And we don't know it as Americans to really understand that. So
Yep.
there is that detachment. We see them as a nuisance. They're coming in. I mean, the whole thing with they're trying to take our jobs is really stupid.
No, if they're
Really stupid.
again, like we said, if they're taking if you're scared that they're gonna take your job, you're stupid. Plain and simple. Yep.
You go to a restaurant, there's a lot of open seats. You're like, there's a lot of open seats. How come we can't get service? No one wants those jobs. The only people who are going to be willing to do those jobs soon are going to be the immigrants.
Yeah, because there's so many places. Oh, it's a 30-minute wait. There's half your tables are open. Oh, we only have a certain amount
We
of
have
service.
one cook right now. That's
Yeah.
it. That's all we have right now because
Yeah,
no one wants to do the job.
no one wants to work.
Nope. Isn't no one wants to work? No one wants to pay.
They want the higher pay, so they think, oh, I don't know.
Okay, let me separate this. Americans, citizens, first, second generations, they don't want the pay, but the people who are willing to do the work are going to be the immigrants.
And that's how they take your jobs. Because you're like, oh, $20 an hour is not enough. And then this kid comes and says, oh my God, you're paying how much?
$20 an hour. He takes that job. He moves up.
Sí, por favor. You know, they'll take that job and they'll climb the corporate ladder and outwork you because they're happy to be there. So they can buy stuff.
There's definitely a lot of stories like that, though.
Yep, a ton of stories.
And
Thanks for watching our clip. If you want to see more clips like this and you like our views, like the show, click here for some more clips. If you want to hear the whole podcast, watch the whole podcast, click here for the whole podcast. Remember, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll get back to you. Thank you, and have a great day.